All right, everyone, it's Jake. We're here inside my barn. I'd like to call it a shop, but it's really just a barn with a lot of tractors and tools in it. I got the first WD in the barn. Still pretty icy outside. It was tricky without someone steering the tractor. I had to get on and off a lot. Today, I don't plan on trying to get it started. I'm going to give it one good look over, get some oil put down the cylinders, look at the points, the spark plugs, make sure everything's good and free, check the fluids. I don't have a battery for it yet, but hopefully here in a few days I'll get this one going. One thing I know, I'm going to pull off one of the other parts tractors. If you look up here, there's normally kind of a cluster. I have a couple switches and a gauge, and that is off of this tractor. I know one of the other ones has one sitting on there, so hopefully I can find one fairly quickly and get that put on this tractor. It won't be super fun to work on with all this ice on it. It's probably obvious I don't have a heated shop, so this might just sit in here, and I think we've got some warmer weather in a couple days, so hopefully that'll help thaw this tractor out. I'm here on the ignition side of the tractor, so this is a distributor style tractor. A few in the stack that we got are a magneto style, but none of those I'm considering a runner. I did work on a magneto on an older WC a few years ago, and I feel fairly confident, but distributors are always easier to use. These are just a 4-cylinder engine. I'm going to pop the distributor cap and we'll see what's going on inside. I'm sure we'll need to file things, clean it up. I want to see if I do need to order the ignition parts for this or not. All right, that fin's a little different from what I've seen on other caps, but everyone's are different. Pull that off. We'll see that. Actually, yeah, there's a little corrosion on it. Nothing. You guys can get there closely, but I'll clean that up and see if I can't get it to spark here. Yep, just a few passes of a points file and we're good. We got spark. You guys can see it. Good spark. Only battery I had was a long tractor battery. It won't be the one that stays in here. I know initially said I wasn't going to try to get it started, but I'm not a very patient person. I do want to put some Marvel's Mystery Oil down the cylinders first, since it sat for a bit, just to make sure we have some good lubrication, and then I'll go from there. Alright, I'll show you just real quickly on cylinder number 1 here what I plan to be doing. I already have the first spark plug out. Came out pretty easy. And let's see if we can get it focused. It looks pretty good. I'm going to clean them up, get the suit off. I do have a bore scope. I just want to take a quick look in all the cylinders, see if there's any issues, and then I'll take that little can there, just some Marvel's Mystery Oil. Spray it on top, that way it can work its way into the cylinder as we start turning her over. And here's what cylinder number 1 looks like. A little bit of corrosion on top of the cylinder, but the walls look pretty good. I don't have any worries about it. I'm sure she'll smoke and blow some crud out for a little bit, but that's fine. I may even take all the spark plugs out for a little bit with some oil in there and let the cylinders run to work some of that crud out of there. Alright guys, it's a cold January 2nd evening out tonight. Putting some late night shop hours in. Let me get the camera. Gonna be working on this tire on the wide front one. It was low when we got it. It's actually a pretty good tire, but it's facing the wrong way. So tonight, gonna spend a little manual labor hours breaking it off. We have a manual bead breaker and an impact and all my tire irons out. I'll take you along for the process. So how this manual bead breaker works, it's got one clamp piece that presses on the rim. It'll help dig the braking piece into the tire. It says not to use an impact, but I don't follow those rules all the time. You put the other side here and a loud noise warning. I'll show you what happens. Now, it usually takes a couple of goes, but if you look, let me get some flash on. There we go. It's got this other piece in here that will push on the bead to help push the tire back, and this thing's pretty locked on there, so it's going to take a few rounds of this to get this tire broke free. All right, got the outside bead off. It was stuck for a bit. Eventually got it. I did have to bring out, this is a new Christmas present to me. It's just a sledgehammer with a special bill on the end of it, specifically to help put pressure along this area, as long as you don't hit the rim, to help bust that bead off. Now, the hardest part, got to get the inside bead off. Well, I've been unable to get the back side broke free. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling it off the front. It is hard without that bead free, but I'm thinking once this bead is off the rim, the tire might be more willing to move the other way. For some reason, I cannot find my long tire iron, so I'm using my toe short ones and a pry bar. We'll see how this ends up. All right, successfully got the bead broken off. That helped a lot, getting the outside bead off. A couple hits with the sledgehammer after getting a good bite on the bead breaker, and the whole thing came off. I didn't have to move from this one spot. Let's see if we can get the whole tire off now. Come on, baby. Go. All right, everyone. We got the different tires swapped over. I'm going to air up the inner tube. For years, we try to get this tube set up in the tire without airing it up. Turns out it's a lot easier if you put some pressure in it so it holds its form. It'll stay in its place way better once it's in the tire. We'll show you the process of that here in a minute. All right, so we got the tube in place. One trick I like to do is start at the top, put a vice grip there to hold the tire where it needs to be. Apply liberal amounts of lubricant.
And make sure you don't go too deep.
Don't go too deep because we've had to replace some brand new tubes because we puncture them. As you see, take little bites, work your way around. Make sure the transmission's in gear too, that way the rim stays in place.
That's very helpful. Again, another learning lesson.
A lot of the times the tire will kind of fall on if it's in decent shape. You just have to kind of push it, and every now and then we'll have to give a little assistance.
I think I might go over to the other side.
All right.
Maybe not. Sometimes gravity helps us a little bit. I think maybe.
I'll switch them sides. What'll help is try to keep it off the top side of the bead so there's more room for the tire to
Go up
get
a little
on.
bit. Just barely in there. I'm sure these tire guys that do this all the time would have had it on.
By no means are we professionals. We're just too cheap to pay a professional to do it.
All right, so now we're going to want to push that over and down, I think.
Yep.
There, like that. See if I can get
So what he
a couple-
did is the tire came up on the bead channel here. We need it to be on the lower sides for now. That way we still have room to keep prying the tire on.
me.
There we are.
We're getting close. I'm getting a little too big of a bite, John. Okay. Almost there. Actually, kicker. Good
There
job.
we are. Only 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Kicking always helps. Cursing, we try to avoid that, but occasionally it'll help.
Well, I got it aired up to correct pressure, but I had one little mistake. So, do you guys see these lines up here on the... This is kind of a measuring device for it to make sure you have it centered. Well, if you go over to this side of the rim where my finger is, we got pretty much 3 lines showing. 3 lines showing, where up here we just have the 2. And it made it so underneath, it's not setting. So what I have to do is I'm going to deflate the tire and play around with the pressures a little bit, and I should be able to get it to pop on that bead. But I can keep putting all the pressure in the world, but it may not get over that lip, so I'll show you how I fix it. Alright, so I think I got it in a better spot now. Over here, I'm just using some WD-40. I use some regular tire lubricant, that way when I get more pressure, this should just slide on top of it. But we had this, if you look, there's a bit of space over here, but this one's been working well. Let you know how it goes. Unfortunately, guys, we had a broken stud in the front over here. We also need to put a tube in this front tire. So Dad is practicing his patience skills. How's that going?
Well, I've never had one of these come out very easy. So we've already broke one easy out, so I'm just going to drill it, put a bigger hole or bit, drill it, and a bigger bit, drill it, and just slowly take it all out.
Alrighty, we'll check in on that later. He's working on that. I'm working on getting this tire off this rim. This rim does have a pretty big rust hole in it, but not nearly as bad as other rims, so I'm going to try to save it. I'm going to cut out the crap in this one and cut out a good chunk of another rim and make it work. Alright everyone, it's been a little bit. Let's just say we didn't film because we wanted to make it look like we were keeping our composure working on this broke off bolt. Probably should have done this at the beginning, but I'm just going to weld a nut to it. I've learned another trick of putting a washer behind it to give you a little space, and it should help it turn easier and lessen the risk of you welding the nut directly to the hub. Dad decided to give up on it and assigned it to me as he's working on the tire. Alright, we'll see how this goes. This is attempt number 1 with a welded nut.
Nice.
I guess that's what we should have done before.
Probably helped it. I'm sure, without a doubt, the fact that I drilled half of it out is the only reason.
We don't need to talk about that part. Also, if you guys want some good quality tools, Icon from Harbor Freight. I got these wrenches last week and finally found a reason to use them.
Looks like the threads are going to be okay.
Yep. And also, this is just a really long pipe wrench. That's not a cheater bar on it. Yeah, I might even save this and use it somewhere else. There we go.
All right.
Well, we thought we had everything good to go on this. It's running good, but like you guys just saw in that little video, we got some holes in the exhaust manifold. So we're going to get this one pulled off and go grab one from a parts tractor, just so it'll run a little bit better. We got some fire coming through that hole right there. There's one up there, but I'm guessing it's getting thin in other spots, so let's go ahead and replace it. Cause that there. Alright, so I spent a little time cleaning up the rims. We're going to look all in. Oh